What's up, guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. Hope everyone's doing well. I know it's been about 8 days since my last video, so I wanted to run through a few things and show you what I'm looking at. Then we're going to run through some recent news for XRP, Casper, and HBAR. Alright, first up, looking at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, we're well aware that we did reject the 618 at around 49,000 as the high. So we got a wick as high as 49,000 right up to the 618. We still have yet to close a full weekly candle over the 50% Fibonacci retracement, both the candle body and the wick included. We'll touch on that in 1 minute. Overall, the weekly RSI is looking a bit weak here. I would love to hold this level for support. And if we break below 40,000, I'd still be watching for this 21-week EMA to be the next level of support right around 37 to 38K. Because historically, during an actual bull run, this level has been crucial for support, maintaining above this level all the way up, specifically during the previous cycle back in 2016 during this run-up. We held this level all the way up multiple times for support. Other than that, we still have large fair value gaps, both a very large buy-side imbalance between 30,000 to 34K that has been yet to be closed, as well as open weekly sell-side imbalances yet to be closed at 52,000 to as high as 62K. We can see at both the top and the bottom of this fair value gap, this is a crucial level for support going all the way back here and then even up here at these two highs. And historically, looking at the last 3 Bitcoin cycles, every time a weekly candle closes entirely above the 50% retracement, both the wick and the body included, it is headed to an all-time high price around 1 to 3 months. So in 2013, we went to all-time highs within a month after that date. In 2016, it took about 3 months. In 2020, it took about 49 days. And today, we have still yet to close above the 50% entirely. I'm hoping this is like 2016, but stay alert for the 2019 scenario. Oh, just got an alert that Bitcoin fell below 40K. Now let's run through a few things regarding Bitcoin cycle lengths. I'll try to be super brief on this. I uploaded a 30-minute video earlier this month diving into this deep. We've discussed measuring the number of days it took from an all-time high of the monthly RSI until the next high for the monthly RSI. So these two cycles, or these two tops I should say, aligned with the actual price chart. The last cycle was a tad different because the momentum was at a high during this first high, but we created another all-time high with bearish divergence. So even using the length of the longest cycle and applying it to where the high of the RSI was, or even the all-time high price, that would take us to July of 2024 or the latest of March 2025. Now I saw Crypto Caesar put this out yesterday, and this is very interesting because I wasn't actually measuring the cycles like that, but we'll go through a few things I shared back on January 8th and then a few other measurements that I took yesterday. And this look is super interesting, so we can see he's measuring these cycles, but what he's doing is actually measuring from the cycle low until the next cycle low. Cycle low to our previous cycle low, and he's measuring the midpoints or the halfway point for each cycle. Now remember, he's measuring cycle low to cycle low to cycle low, so the all-time highs typically come after the midpoint. We've had 3 different cycles showing this over the past 10 plus years. From this perspective, the midpoint is in October. So he shares 2 possibilities here. I am rooting for number 2, of course. Number 1, Bitcoin will continue on its 4-year cycle journey, which likely means no all-time high until we reach the midpoint of the cycle, October-November 2024. If this happens, some alts might pop along the way, but the real parabolic move for the entire market won't begin until Q4 24 into 2025. For number 2, Bitcoin will not follow the traditional 4-year cycle and will eventually print a left-translated cycle. In this scenario, this means the parabolic move will come much sooner and we likely see all-time highs significantly prior to the midpoint, and potentially before the Bitcoin halving estimated to take place in April. This will obviously cause a big alt season much sooner and the market peak also coming in much sooner. Will it mean any difference in the price from a traditional 4-year cycle? So his view currently is that we continue to follow the traditional 4-year cycle. However, the next 3 months will give us a pretty certain answer on where we're going. If we start to push past all-time highs within the next 3 months, this will be a sure sign that we're going to peak out much sooner than usual. So I really like his analysis here. I'm very open to a blow-off top scenario. I just hope it happens sooner than later because me personally, I don't want to wait until 2025-26. But one thing I know is the market doesn't care about my feelings. It's not what I want. It's all about what happens. But when Bitcoin closes a full weekly candle, body and wick included, over the 50% and it's completely clean, I'm going to be rooting for an all-time high within 1 to 3 months because that's what history has shown us. And when we compare Bitcoin to the 2019 retracement from the previous cycle high to the cycle low, we did retrace up to the 618 Fibonacci retracement before one more big crash to the lows. And to me currently, that doesn't really make sense right now because during that 2019 retracement, we actually got well above 90. And when Bitcoin is pushing to all-time highs towards the end of 2020, we're also well above 90. And thus far for this year, we've only pushed a little bit over 70. And this is not financial advice, this is just my opinion. I personally believe if we were to see a huge crash to the lows, whether it's 20K or a 5K Bitcoin, It would make a lot more sense to get a lot more people in the market go much higher before a big crash like that, but that's just my opinion. Anything is possible in this market. We've heard so many talks about solar flares and EMPs, so who knows, but historically, every single time we see a major liquidation in the market, there's typically a strong V-shaped recovery on the weekly and monthly time frame. After witnessing all of the black swans that we've had, 3AC, Luna, Celsius, FTX, anything's possible, hacks are possible, regulatory scares, so who knows. But I believe in all-time highs for this asset class. I believe we surpass over 1 billion users and grow in the future. The question is, how long does it take to get there? We'll run through this super quick, just measuring the cycle tops all the way across the board for these last 3 cycles using the longest one. This shows November 2025. From the cycle lows to the cycle tops, and even using the longest length, this would take us to October of 25. Measuring the Bitcoin halving dates until the cycle tops, also 2025. But it's important to note, and this is something that Raoul Pal pointed out, is that every Bitcoin halving has been the same year as the presidential elections. So I added the arrows of November 2012, 2016, 2020, and including 2024, and this has typically been a very bullish year for crypto. Here's measuring the Bitcoin halving dates until Bitcoin pushes into a new all-time high price, taking out the previous cycle high. And using both the shortest and the longest, this would give us a range of July of 2024 to December of this year. And here are the election dates on the monthly time frame, just taking November all the way across, and measuring the length until a cycle top is reached. And on average, after each election, we have seen a cycle top hit roughly a year or just a little after a year. But I also measured this and found this really interesting from the election date until Bitcoin pushes into a new all-time high price. This is on Bitstamp. I actually should have used the Bitcoin Liquid Index to get the price history back there. But for the last 2 cycles, this took place 90 days or 3 months after the election date into an all-time high, and the previous cycle just about a month after. So if we rhymed with the previous 2 cycles, that would mean 1 month or 3 months after the US elections into pushing into a new all-time high. So we measured top to top, low to top, halving to the top, the election to the top, the election to a new all-time high, and the halving dates to a new all-time high. And I think it's important to consider and be familiar with the last 10 plus years of price history for Bitcoin, the king of this entire asset class. There are definitely similarities we've seen over the previous cycles, but each time the market dynamics are different, like the market trend, market sentiment, liquidity, geopolitics, monetary policy, regulation. We have MiCA coming into full force in the European Union for crypto assets this year, other tech innovations like generative AI, but then also the risks that come with that. Cybersecurity advancements, hacks, public perception, and adoption after multiple black swans, but also the recent approval of the Bitcoin spot ETPs. And other growing sectors and use cases in crypto, including DePIN. Where Masari said DePIN projects right here are powerful enough to add over $10 trillion to global GDP over the next decade, and over $100 trillion in the decade after that. That is super ambitious. Global GDP is just over 100 trillion today. So I have to look at the source here in this Masari report talking about trillions. I did see an article put out by BitGet, and it looked like they meant to say billion, but the market cap all in for all of these DePIN projects is over 20 billion today. Okay, let's run through some recent info for XRP, Casper, and HBAR. We're going to be doing more dedicated videos for them this month. I've almost finished watching every recording of the Hub Davos uploaded on Casper Labs' YouTube channel. The Actus one with the DTCC and Securency was super interesting. I believe it was Securency, discussing the tokenization of financial contracts and things that are happening in Switzerland and likely to happen throughout the entire EU. Okay, so first up, we have the crypto exchange Gemini putting out a bunch of tweets teasing about XRP, so I'm curious what this means. So tweeting yesterday, don't forget about XRP, excited about XRP, it's arriving shortly. We have Max Walker that just hosted an interview of Brad Garlinghouse, the Ripple CEO, and then Lehman Baird, one of the founders of Hedera. So I know yesterday he tweeted out that he finished this interview of Brad Garlinghouse and Lehman, so I'm excited to see this. And right from the IMF, just pointing out the high costs of low-value cross-border payments. I know many of us are familiar with this, but this is still crazy. The global average cost of sending $200 from one country to another was about $12.50. And this was taken in the first quarter of last year. The fee is over 6% according to the World Bank. We have Anders pointing out back in July, the BIS, or the central bank of all central banks, putting out this report. We've talked about this before, the Cross-Border Payments Interoperability and Extension Task Force. We know that Ripple, the company, was included, we can see right there. Alongside some of the largest global solutions like CLS, Finality, MasterCard, RTGS Global, Swift, and Worldline. And Anders points out that these 3 are the only ones that are wholesale. So we're left with MasterCard, Ripple, Swift, and Worldline. Pointing out that Ripple partnered with MasterCard's CBDC program just 2 weeks after this extension task force was revealed, and just pointing out the connections that Ripple has with MasterCard, some with Worldline, and then Swift. Just like King Solomon shared years ago, and this is super old, but we can see shared by Worldline, and we have Ripple Currency XRP. With the yuan, I believe the Thai baht, the yen, etc. So super interesting. We already know Ripple has all of these connections, but we actually want to see this put into play. Next up for Casper, we're going to dive a lot more into Casper as soon as I finish all of the recordings from the Hub Davos, but we have right here shared by Mr. Casper. And you can find all of those videos on Casper Labs' YouTube channel going through all these keynotes. And this is a 30-minute keynote discussing Brave AI Casper's solution for AI governance with IBM's platform Watson X. So on stage, we have Shyam of IBM and then the CEO of Casper Labs. So I'll play this quick 30-second clip. If you want to see the entire video, it's just towards the end of this one, where they said they've already had 40 plus Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies already sign up for the beta program with Brave AI, which leverages Casper. And hopefully this coverage at Davos gets them a lot more signups.
We are starting a beta program. The Gartner webinar wildly exceeded our expectations. We got 1,700 imprints. We've had 40 plus Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies sign up to be beta customers. And it's completely free, just so everyone knows. So whether you're a company that's running an AI system, whether you're an enterprise that's really curious about using generative AI or are facing problems or have concerns about its risk and compliance.
So just like Rektivojak says, the more companies using Brave AI, which is AI governance leveraging Casper Network, the more demand there is for the Casper token. We have Mr. Casper sharing this screenshot, so this actual link is on integration.casper live, and then looking at this specific deploy, we can see the action to store data, the payment amount, and the cost. So I guess what I want to know is, like he says here, every session or AI chat requires a payment amount of 1 Casper. Not sure if it will stay like that. From my understanding of Casper Network, the more complex of the deployment, the more Casper it requires. If it's super simple, it might be super cheap. Okay, a few things for HBAR. We have Hashpack. The HBAR wallet is now integrated with Wallet Connect, the first wallet to launch the official implementation of Wallet Connect on top of Hedera. We also know that last week, Hitachi has joined the Hedera Governing Council, with the aim to begin creating proof of concepts for end-to-end supply chain and sustainability solutions in the next year. So Hitachi's been updated alongside many other council members. And they offer a wide range of products and solutions: electronics, healthcare, energy, IoT, and more. So I hope to see some exciting use cases being built. And last week, we got news that the SEC has decided to delay the decision of Fidelity's proposed spot Ethereum ETF. So they may have delayed their decision, but it still means that we have a great chance for an Ethereum ETF or a spot ETF to be approved this year. We have iTrustCapital linked in the top of this YouTube video description to create a free account. So I've had a Roth IRA with iTrustCapital here since January of 2020 for 100% tax-free trading. So all gains, I'm paying 0% in capital gains rather than just trading on Coinbase. Where in the US, you have to pay taxes on all short-term and long-term capital gains, but with a Roth IRA with iTrustCapital, I'm paying 0. And regarding ETFs and trading them rather than leveraging a platform like iTrustCapital, with ETFs, you're trading 80% less in a given year than you could with actual Ethereum on a platform like iTrust. Because in traditional markets, you have trading hours during the work week rather than a platform like iTrustCapital where you can trade 24/7, 365. Some traditional investors may prefer a Bitcoin ETF or an Ethereum ETF in the future, but I prefer iTrustCapital because I'm owning the actual crypto asset. With an ETF, you're investing into that company and then they're buying the token, where you never actually own the crypto. If you own an ETF and there's a market crash, Bitcoin dumps 10 or 20%. The crypto ETF, you have to wait until Monday for trading hours to even be able to sell or enter. And that could be the difference of 24 to 48 hours, and you're hoping that prices remain stable. With ETFs, you have a trading window of about 6.5 hours Monday through Friday. So there could be a lot more of a lost opportunity when you're leveraging an ETF with a traditional broker rather than iTrustCapital where you can buy, sell, and trade 24/7, 365. And friendly reminder that iTrustCapital was last valued at $1.3 billion. And they leverage a qualified custodian. If they ever go out of business, which I don't see happening, I still get my funds by law rather than many other exchanges where their terms of services or terms and conditions are different. Feel free to check them out using the link in the video description. By using that link after you fund your account, you also get a $100 funding reward in USD. Thanks for watching, and huge thanks to all to hit the like button, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.